Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Islamic or Sharia law, protection of property topic continues. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Riba, that is interest on loan. As it shall be described under the heading economic system, according to the Holy Quraan, a return is only due on one's labor, not on capital. The return on capital is usury, be it in any form. The capital alone can only be paid back in place of capital and not any interest on it. In view of the importance of this issue, the verses pertaining to it shall be described in a sequence. To begin with, look at the effects and the dangerous results of usury. As said in Ayah 2-275, on one side are the people who, by cutting down their own needs to the minimum, fulfill the necessities of others. As said in Ayah 59-9, and on the other side are those who give loans to others but taking advantage of their indigence, take back more than what they had loaned. The state of such people who have this mentality is like the one who has been stung by a snake and is violently running about hither and thither. That is, the greed for money sets fire in their chest, which keeps them uneasy all the time. The reason they produce for this act of theirs is that usury, taking more than what they had spent, is like trade. There is no difference between the two. As in trade, a shopkeeper takes from the purchaser more than he had spent. Similarly, in usury, the one who uses his capital for the loaning receives more than his principal amount. This is a lame excuse. In trade, a man spends his capital, and in addition to it, he puts in labor. Thus, anything surplus that he takes is not a profit on the capital, rather, it's a return for his labor. And this is exactly the right way. On the contrary, in usury, where no labor is put in, it is only a surplus gain on money loaned by him. This is unlawful. Remember the principle in this respect, that it is only the return of labor that is right. As said in Ayah 53-39, but to gain profit on others' people's labor simply by investing capital alone is unlawful. This is what is called riba or interest. But anybody who, after receiving this divine commandment, puts an end to his earlier ways, then that which he has received earlier belongs to him, and according to the divine law, he shall not be called to account. But those who do not desist from their previous practice and persist in such dealings, these are the people whose deeds shall meet destruction, thus will find no way out of the chastisement. After the above description, let us take the comparison between usury and deeds of charity. As said in Ayah 2-276, remember that what a man thinks increases his capital. In fact, it deprives him of all blessings, and it causes destruction not only to himself but also to his nation. On the contrary, whatever he spends for the nourishment of others and which appears to decrease his wealth, in fact, not only provides nourishment to himself, but also provides means of nourishment to his nation. In usury, it becomes a common mentality to keep the necessities of sustenance hidden from others, so that people always remain needy and compelled to take loan, and those who extend loans on the other hand keep enjoying the benefits on the produce of those who put in actual labor and hard work. This paralyzes man's productive energies, and he becomes incapacitated to keep progressing further in life. Hence, a capitalist society is doomed to destruction. At another place, it is stated in Ayah 30 39, that which you lend out to others so that you can recover something over and above your principal amount, you may, as per your trading norms, receive some profit. But according to the divine law, it is not an increase. This appears to be an increase in your assets, but you make the calculations on the basis of your personal gains. But if you think over it, keeping in view the benefit of humanity, you shall find that it is indeed no increase. On the contrary, whatever you spend for the nourishment of others, without an intent for your personal gain or compensation, but with the intent of bringing your life in consonance with the divine law, then you shall really make an increase in your wealth. As said in Ayah 2 275 and 276, 3 129, and 74 6. Excuse me. After declaring usury unlawful, previous transactions of the kind are explained. As said in Ayah 2 278, O you who believe, stay conscious of the divine law and guard them, and what remains due against the loans, write them off, if you are indeed mu'mineen, believers. Here, writing off the outstanding balances due against loanees has been laid down as a prerequisite to one's iman, belief. Following this, it has been stated that those who do not do this, in Ayah 2 279, if you are not prepared to do it, consider it an ultimatum of war from the divine system, Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and be prepared for it, because the divine system is an open enemy of capitalism, and there can be no compromise between the two on this issue. But if you retract from the practice of yours, you will be allowed to recover your principal sums, so that you neither commit an excess on the loanee nor are you dealt with unjustly. From above the severity of this crime, usury can be perceived. Here, the usury has been declared as a rebellion against the Islamic order, and the two are declared incompatibilities. And two are declared incompatibilities that cannot exist together. After this, it is said in Ayah 2 280, if the debtor is in difficulty, grant him time till it is easy for him to repay. But if you forgive it completely, it would be an act of benevolence on your part. And if you comprehend with foresightedness what great collective benefit it contains. A verse of Surah Al Imran, third chapter of Quran, deserves particular attention, where it has been said that in Ayah 3 129 to 130, in this verse, as stated above, the usual transaction of the words is taken as doubled and multiplied, and from this compound interest is inferred. This inference is against the basic teachings of the Holy Quran. As a matter of fact, it means that an increase on the capital alone is unlawful, but but be it in any form. One who provides loan can only take back his principal sum and nothing more than that. Thus, the verse 3 129 to 130 actually means, O you who believe, usury plays the main role in causing collapse of a social system, that is to gain profit on the capital alone. People think that it increases wealth. Individually, it seems so, but in reality, it weakens the economic system and reduces national wealth. Thus, O believers, never adopt this capitalistic system of usury. Always keep in mind the divine law that is only way to success. If you, instead of increasing the wealth by putting in hard labor, take exploitation of the produce of the worker, you will be doomed to the fire of destruction unless those who reject the divine system. The Holy Quran says that one of the causes which brought about the destruction of the Jews was the system of usury. Thus it has been said in Surah An-Nisa, 4th chapter of Quran, in ayah 4-160 to 161, it was the result of such of their excesses and insurrection that the pleasantries which were lawful for them were ordained as unlawful as a punishment, as said in ayah 6-147. The list of their crimes is very long, but briefly stating, these people always put hindrances in the way of enforcement of divine order, which is a path of beginning beneficence to humanity. They, instead of helping the indigent, exploited their needs. While giving loans to them, they took back more than what they had spent, charged interest on their capital, although they were prohibited to do so, and thus they use these tactics and others in order to eat up the other people's property by foil means. They do the same even now. These are the crimes which are the cause of their miserable suffering. According to the above definition of usury, sleeping partnership in business, known as mudarabat, or giving land on sharing contract, known as, are all included in is usury. Trade, selling. A. Usury is unlawful and trade is lawful, as has already been explained under the verse 2-175. At yet another place it is said in ayah 4-29 to 30, O you who believe, eat not up your assets amongst yourselves unlawfully. In social living, there is exchange of necessities called trading. Trading. This should be conducted through mutual agreement. Under this principle, everybody shall get the return of his labor, as said in ayah 54-39. Not that one exploits the other by virtue of his capital, as said in ayah 2-275. If you do so, you are destined to face destruction. Allah wants every one of you to get his part of the nourishment. As such, an economic system wherein this objective is lost cannot be a just system. After such a clear emphasis, any nation that conducts its dealings in a manner that every individual aims at causing reduction in other people's rights, and as such transgresses his limits, is doomed to a speedy destruction. Any system established against the universal beneficence contains inherent means of its destruction. B. Hand-to-hand trading transactions need not be reduced to writing, as said in ayah 2-282. Note, we have seen above under the heading usury that the return is not justified against labor and not against capital. Return is only justified against labor and not against capital. As such, the profit in trade should not exceed the labor put in by the trader. It is for the Islamic order to enforce the requisite guidelines. 7. Breach of trust. A. Render back the trust to whom they are due, as said in ayah 4-58. B. Betray not the trust. It also includes the trust of the government, which includes all the responsibilities entrusted to you by the state, or the secret affairs which you have known on account of your being the members of the state organization. Thus it is said in ayah 8-27, O you who believe, betray not either the divine order, Allah and His Rasul, or the trust repose in you. You know that shall be the result of such betrayal, as said in Ayah 4-58. See, do not plead the cause of the cheats, those who betray the trust. It has been described in detail as under 4 ayah 4-105 to 109. O Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have sent down to you the book, code of law, so that you may judge the disputed affairs of men according to the knowledge with which Allah has provided you, and be not one advocating the cause of the dishonest. The matter of awarding judgments between people is the grave responsibility of government and justice. And justice is a very sensitive affair. Human inclinations do tend to affect these decisions. One can escape this situation only if one remains cautious of the divine law and keeps seeking its protection. The divine law is fully equipped with means to provide such protection and nurture. Again, take note of it that you must not become an advocate on behalf of those people who betray each other and their own selves. One who betrays the trust thinks that one has gained something, but on the other hand, it creates such a debility in his personal character that his human capabilities become infirm. This is what it means when we say that he betrays himself. How can the divine law approve of such people? The people think that they can hide their crimes from others. But how can these remain hidden from Allah, who watches over them even when they secretly counseled by night in the matters that He will not approve? Allah's law of requital encompasses all human actions, as said in Ayah 40-19. Remember, Allah's law of requital is not such as it concerns only this world, and one arranges to get himself acquitted from the grip of the law by foul means. He is still not acquitted of its accountability. Every human action leaves its imprint on the human self, as said in Ayah 17-14, and his self does not end with physical death. It goes on to the life hereafter. As such, the results of the human actions also appear after death. Therefore, if you contend on behalf of such persons, or even even get them acquitted from the grip of the law by telling lies, say, who will contend with Allah on their behalf on the day of judgment, and who will be able to become their advocate? D. Believers pay special attention to their trusts and covenants, as said in Ayah 23-8 and Ayah 70-8. Ladies and gentlemen, uh, here the session of protection of property ends. Inshallah, we will continue with the next topics in coming sessions. Let's together remorsefully and repentfully pray from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us the guidance, wisdom, and that true sense to understand Holy Quran and Islamic law, and gives us courage and gives us strength and courage to apply this law on ourselves, our nearest dears, societies, countries, and world as a whole in complete and 100%. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be our best guide and protector, and He bestows upon us that which is really most suitable for us. Ladies and gentlemen, please take care of yourselves, your near and dears, your kith and kins, and your whole environment. Till next session, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.